Hello, welcome back to the VDC space. Today is going to be interesting episode. I know I always say that, but this one is really going to be interesting. We're going to be designing, or rather, we're going to model walking columns for a twisting skyscraper. Now, this is a very interesting design philosophy or design consideration because it's being used for so many projects when it comes to complex geometry of high-rise buildings. Now, if you guys are more interested into this design phenomena, I suggest you do research on South Bank by Beulah, which is a skyscraper being that's going to be built, I think, in Australia, which was designed by UN Studios, which is one of my favorite architectural firms. I I'm pretty sure the structural engineers were the ones who came up with the design consideration of using walking columns when it comes to that complex skyscraper they designed. And the second one I think you should do research on is the Vancouver tower or house, which was designed by Bjarke Ingels. So I think the structural engineers also they did they used working columns when it comes to the design consideration of that tower. As you know, Bjarke Ingels buildings have very much complex geometry. So I think using that as a design consideration was a pretty uh, well idea. So before I get started, guys, I would like to ask you guys to subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you already subscribed, thank you. Hit the notification button as I upload BIM modeling tutorials and Revit tutorials 3 times every week. I cover different topics from wastewater to structural engineering, architecture, roads and bridges, civil structures, and so on. Now, without further ado, let's jump into Revit. Now, I've opened up a construction template. So the first thing is we are in level 0. I'm just going to extend these views and elevations. So I'm just going to offset them by 40,000 millimeters on all directions. So I'm just going to move them by 40,000 millimeters. And then I'm just going to increase the scale and make it 1:200. And then I'm going to select my views and then extend the view range like this so that I can see the whole building on all elevations. Perfect. And now the next thing is I'm going to place my grids. So I'm going to place 9 of them and then go to pick lines. I'm going to offset them by 5,000 millimeters. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then I'm just going to select them and then center them like this. Go to my grids again, place them across like this. And then I'm going to rename this one to A, and then go to my grids again, pick lines, and then I'm going to offset them by 5,000 millimeters. So it's going to be B, C, D, E, F, G. Perfect. Now everything is centered. It's time to model our mass for our skyscraper. But before that, you're going to go to the south elevation and then select your level 0, right click, and then maximize 3D extend. Do the same thing for level 1, maximize 3D extend, and then you're going to select your grids and then extend them upwards and downwards, as this is going to be a very large high-rise building. It's going to, yeah, redundant. Anyway, so I'm going to rename this to ground level and press enter, say yes. And then this one, I'm going to offset it by 5,000 millimeters. And then I'm going to rename it to mezzanine. Press enter, say yes. And now I'm going to create another level, which is going to be offset by 4,000 millimeters from the mezzanine. And then I'm going to rename it to level 1. Press enter and say yes. And now the next thing is I'm going to go to level again, and then I'm going to go to pick lines, set the offset to 4,000 millimeters, and then I'm going to offset the levels until I get to level 34. So I'm going to say I'm going to offset it by 4,000 meters until I get to level 34. Perfect. And now I'm going to select this grid, and then I'm going to extend it downwards like this. Say extend. So this is what we have. Now I want us to work on the structural plans. So I'm going to go to, as you can see, the only thing missing here is our ground level and our mezzanine. So I'm going to go to view. Under view, I'm going to go to plan views, structural plans, select the two of them, make sure this box is checked, and say OK. And now I want the mezzanine to be placed right above our levels in terms of our organization system. So I'm just going to rename the ground level to 00 dash ground level. Press enter and say yes. And then the mezzanine, I'm going to rename it to 01 dash mezzanine and say yes. Now we're going to use our ground structural plan ground level in order for us to start our modeling. So we're going to go to massing inside, and then under conceptual mass, we're just going to check the symbol and then go to in place mass and say OK. And now we're going to select our rectangle, and then from this insertion point, we're going to take it to the left and draw a rectangle, and then we're going to place it at grid number 5. Grid number 5 and grid A. Perfect. Now you can open up the 3D view and you're going to select your rectangle and say copy to clipboard, and then under paste you're going to drop down and say align to selected views, and then you're going to select level 10 only and say OK. Perfect. And now you're going to open up level 20. And then as you can see, we cannot see the grids that are running across like this. So we're going to press VR on our keyboard for view range. And then we're going to drop down. So our constraints, we're going to set them to unlimited just so we can see everything. And then we're going to say apply and say OK. Now you're going to select your rectangle. From this insertion point, you're going to take it to grid number 4. So you're going to take it to grid number 4 in A. And then you're going to open up level 27 VR for view range, and then you're going to set these to unlimited just so you can see your other grids and say apply. OK. Select your rectangle. From this insertion point, you're going to take it to grid number 2 in A. And then you're going to open up level 31 and then VR for view range, and then you're going to set these to unlimited and then say apply. OK. Select your rectangle. From this insertion point, you're going to take it to the very first to grade 1 and grade A where they intersect. And then you're going to open up your 3D view. So this is what we have. And now the very last rectangle you generated, you're going to select it, copy to clipboard, you're going to drop down, align to selected levels, and then you're going to select level 4 and say OK. And now the next thing is you're going to have to join these rectangles in order for you to create your mass. And how you do that, so we're going to start with the first two. So you're going to select your first two and say create form. And then you're going to hover over your block and then press tab on your keyboard until the top rectangle is selected. And then you're going to select it and then select the second one. And then you're going to select the others only, also the rest of them, and then under form you're going to say create form, and then your mass is created. Perfect. And now you're going to say finish mass and then go to the south array elevation, and this is what you have. So you can just change this to shaded, and this is what you have. Now you can just close down your floor plans, your structural floor plans, And now we're going to create mass flows that we are going to use as our reference in order for us to incorporate solid flows. Now, in order for us to do that, you're going to go to massing inside. Actually, you're going to select your mass. And as you can see, after you select it, you have this option under model where you can create mass flows. So you're going to say mass flows, and then you're going to select your ground floor, scroll down, shift on your keyboard, select the last floor, and then check your boxes and say OK. Go back to massing inside, and then you're going to say under model by face, you're going to say floors, and then you're going to select your whole mass. And then as you can see, your mass floors are selected. But before we create them, we're going to edit type so that we can incorporate our own floors. So you're going to say duplicate, and then you're going to rename this to 450 thick slab and say OK. And then you're going to say edit, and now you're going to select these layers and remove them. You are only going to be left with one layer, and then you're going to make this concrete cast in place gray and say OK, and then you're going to change the thickness to 450 millimeters and say OK, apply OK, and then you're going to say create floors. Now your solid floors are created. Now you're going to select the whole thing, go to filter, check none, and then you're going to check your mass flow and then your mass and say apply OK, and then you're going to move your generic models. Now we are working with solid stuff. Now it's time to incorporate our concrete columns. So you're going to go to the ground level, change this level of detail to fine, and then this to shaded, and then you're going to go to insert, load family, metric library, structural columns, concrete, and then you're going to select the concrete rectangular and say open. And then under structure, go to structure. Under structure, you're going to go to column, drop down under properties, select 600 by 750, and then you're going to set your constraints to height, and then you're going to set your top level to mezzanine, and then I want the 750 to face the south elevation and the north elevation. So you're going to have to change its orientation by pressing your space bar on your keyboard. So you're going to place it like this. And then press AL for align on your keyboard, and then you're going to align it like this on this corner, and then select it. And then you're going to say copy, and then from the middle you're going to copy it to these grids like this. So this is not centered. Just going to select this, then I'm going to copy it from grid to grid. So I'm just going to remove this one, and then this one I'm going to align it. So while it's still selected, I'm going to right click, select on instances, and then I'm going to select the mirror pick axis, and then pick this middle grid, and then it's copied to the other side. And then while they're still selected, I'm going to say copy, and then select it from the middle and copy it to these grids. So when I go to the 3D view, this is what we have. But as you can see, the columns are clashing with the slab itself. So in order for us to remedy that situation, go to the south elevation, select everything on this floor, go to filter, check none, and then check only your structural columns, and then under modify column, select attach top or base, and then make sure your constraints are set to attach column top, and then you're going to select your concrete slab, and as you can see, it solves the clashing problem, so it doesn't clash anymore. Now you're going to select everything on this level, go to filter, check none, and then structural columns, say OK, and then under clipboard, you're going to say copy to clipboard, drop down under paste, align to selected levels. You're going to select your mezzanine first, and then shift on your keyboard, and then you're going to select level 33. Leave level 34, and then you're going to say OK. And now everything is copying, so it's going to take a while. And as you can see, while I did copy the other columns to the other levels, it seems like it created duplicates. So if I say filter, actually if I select one column and then delete it, the other columns is going to be set there. So I'm just going to do this south elevation, select every column on this level, go to filter, check none, structural columns, and say OK. I'm just going to remove them. So before we copy other columns to this level, I'm just going to say, as you can see, they are clashing with each other. So I'm going to select one column, right click, select all instances visible in view, and then the base offset, I'm going to set it to 0 instead of minus 1000. Now everything is going to be set on top of the slabs and under the slabs. So this makes perfect now. So I'm going to select these ones, filter, check none, structural column, OK. And then I'm going to say copy. And then I'm going to uncheck the constraint. And then from this level, I'm going to copy to this level. And then I'm going to set my base offset to 0. So this is what we have now. Go to the 3D view and we are making progress. Now go to the south elevation. We're going to start incorporating our working columns from level 11, which is based here. Now we're gonna start with these ones on the far left. We're gonna modify only the ones on the far left. So we're gonna change their length, actually, yeah, their length, or yeah, their breadth or their length, in order for us to create the load path when it comes to this curvature of our high-rise building. So it will transmit the loads to each column, having different lengths, in order for us to provide the stability when it comes to our high-rise building. So while we are at level 11, you can select all your columns, go to filter, check none, structural columns, and say OK. Edit type, duplicate, and then we're going to change this one to 600 by 811 millimeters and say OK. And then we're gonna change H to 811 millimeters and say apply. OK. And now we're gonna, as you can see, it adjusted itself. So I'm just gonna move it from this end to this end. Then now to level 12, I'm going to select this one, filter, check none. I'm going to check my structural column, go to edit type, duplicate, and then I'm going to change this to 600 by 952 millimeters and say OK. Change this to 952, OK. And then I'm going to move it towards this end. On to the next one, select this one. We are at level 13. Check none, structural column, OK, edit type, duplicate, and then I'm going to change this to 600 by 1181 millimeters and say OK. Change this to 1181 millimeters and say apply, OK. And then I'm going to move it towards this end. On to level 14, filter, structural column, edit type, duplicate, 600 by 1502 millimeters, OK. Change this to 1502 millimeters, apply, OK. And then I'm going to move it from this point to this point. On to level 15, filter, uncheck the grids, OK. Edit type, duplicate, and then I'm going to change this to 1923 millimeters, OK. 1923 millimeters, apply, OK. And then I'm going to select it and then place it towards this end. So let me just check them. On to level 16, filter, then edit type, duplicate. So I'm going to change this one to 2449 millimeters, say OK. 2449 millimeters, apply, and then OK. And then I'm going to move it towards this end. onto level 17. Just gonna say filter and check the grids. Okay. Edit type, duplicate, and then I'm gonna change this to 600 by 2711 millimeters. Okay. 2711 millimeters, apply. Okay. And then I'm gonna move it towards this end. And then I'm gonna select this one, edit type, duplicate, and then I'm gonna change this to 600 by 3469 millimeters. Okay, so 3469 millimeters, apply, and then okay, and then I'm gonna move this one towards this point. Now to level 19, I'm going to select this one. So let me just select this one, edit type, duplicate. Then I'm going to change this one to 4354 millimeters. Okay, 4354 millimeters, apply, and say okay. And then I'm going to move it towards this point. Now to level number 20. I'm gonna say edit type again, duplicate, and then I'm gonna change this one to 5375 millimeters. Okay, 5375 millimeters, apply. Okay, and then I'm gonna move it towards this point. Select this one on level 21, and then I'm gonna say edit type, duplicate, and then I'm gonna change this one to 3849 millimeters. Okay, 3849 millimeters, apply. Okay, and then I'm gonna move it from this point to this point. And then I'm gonna select this one, edit type, duplicate, and then I'm gonna change this one to so we are at level 22. We are going to change this one to 3209 millimeters. Okay, 3209 millimeters. Okay, apply, and then I'm going to move it from this point to this point. Select this one. We are at level 23. So I'm going to say edit type, duplicate, and then I'm going to change this one to 4211 millimeters. Okay, 4211 millimeters, apply. Okay, and then I'm going to move it from this point to this point. And then I'm going to select this one and then say edit type, duplicate, and then I'm going to select, and then I'm going to change this one to, we are at level 24, so I'm going to change this one to 2863 millimeters. Okay, 2863 millimeters, apply. Okay, and then I'm going to move it from this point to this point. Edit type, we are at level 25, so I'm going to say duplicate and then change this one to 2965 millimeters. Say okay, 2965 millimeters, apply. Okay, and then I'm going to move it from this point to this point, and then select this one. We are at level 26, edit type, duplicate, and then I'm going to change this one to 3789 millimeters and say okay, and then 3789 millimeters, apply. Okay, and then I'm going to move it to this point, and then this one also I'm going to say edit type, duplicate, and then I'm going to change it to 5375 millimeters. Okay, oh, so 5375, it's already in use, so perfect. And now we can just scroll down, go to 600 by 5375. Then I can grab it and then place it like this. Perfect. And then I'm going to select this one, level 28, and then edit type, duplicate, and then I'm going to change this one to 3148 millimeters. Say OK. 3148, and then I'm going to say apply. OK. And then I'm going to grab it from this point and then place it like this. Then I'm going to select this one, edit type, duplicate, and then I'm going to change this one to, so let me see where we are. Actually, we are at the level 29. Oh, so I'm going to say duplicate and then change this one to 3,369 millimeters, and then change it to 3,369, say apply, OK. And then I'm going to grab it from this point until this point. Then I'm going to select this one, edit type, duplicate, and then we are at level 30. So I'm going to change this one to 2,868 millimeters and say OK. 2,868 millimeters, apply, OK. Then I'm going to place it like this. Then I'm going to say edit type, duplicate, and then I'm going to change this to 3,681 millimeters. OK. 3,681 millimeters. Apply. OK. And then I'm going to grab it and place it like this. And then while it's still select, so we are left with the last one. We're gonna make it so I'm just gonna say I'm gonna select these ones and then say edit type, duplicate, and then I'm gonna change these ones to 4,052 millimeters and say OK. 4,052 millimeters, apply, OK. And then I'm gonna grab it from this point and then place it like this. Perfect. Now these are your working columns. Now the next thing is I'm just gonna place columns. I'm just gonna copy this one 600 by 750 to these grids in order for us to balance, like to visually balance our skyscraper. So I'm just going to select them like this and say copy, and then I'm going to copy to these grids. Perfect. And then I'm going to do the same thing this side on this level. Then I'm going to select these ones also and say copy. Then I'm going to say copy. Perfect. And then I'm going to also do it this on this level. So I'm just going to copy them like this. Copy. Then I'm going to select these. I'm going to select these ones and say copy from this point to this point. Then I'm going to select these ones and say copy from there to there. Then these ones, I'm going to say copy from there to there. Then I'm going to select these ones and then copy them to this grid. Perfect. Now this is what we have. Open up your 3D view, and these are your working columns, guys. I hope you were patient enough when we were generating different sets of columns for our curvature on our skyscraper. So yeah, you can. There's a lot of stability visually Of course, you have to do like major calculations to determine the stability of the building and all that. But yeah, this is the general idea of working columns. In order for you to distribute the load, this is what you have generally for complex tall buildings like these ones. So yeah, I think visually it looks very well. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you for being patient, and thank you for subscribing and liking and commenting. It really helps with the algorithm when you like the tutorials, and yeah, it also motivates me to post more content. So thank you guys again, and I will see you on the next tutorial, and have a lovely day, have a lovely evening, and I'll see you. Peace.